Ladies, are you tired of being told to eat healthy, but no one's actually breaking down what that looks like? Well, today I'm gonna give you a step-by-step guide on how to read your nutrition labels so that we can make better food choices. If you are able to read your food labels, understand the food that you are putting in your body, it's no reason you shouldn't lose 5 to 10 pounds each month consistently. My name is Dr. Salako, and I have helped thousands of women lose weight and fall in love with their bodies. The tips I'm gonna give you in this video today is the reason these women lose weight, actually enjoy the food that they're eating, and don't feel like they're on a restrictive diet. So before we dive in, I wanna know, do you already read food labels now? And if so, what is one category that you pay attention to the most? Put it in the comments. Let's dive in. First things first. All right, understanding the serving sizes. So you really want to pay attention to, when you buy foods, what is the serving size? The serving sizes are typically at the top of the nutrition label. So I got some friends here for us. I got Legion Protein. I'll give you guys a discount code later in the video. I got some Fruit Loops. I try to get some common foods that we all eat. And then I got this Knorr creamy garlic. I used to love these things in college. I brought them back for my son. So I got us some options that we're gonna go through. First things first, what you wanna look at is the serving sizes. This makes me think of ramen noodles. Ramen noodles, we tend to eat that whole pack, not realizing technically it's 2 servings. So if you look at the sodium content in ramen noodles, it's ridiculous. The sodium content in ramen noodles is so crazy, and most of us don't realize we need to double that number because it's 2 serving sizes. So when you're grabbing your food, you always want to make sure that you're looking at the serving sizes. So if we're looking at, this is Knorr's creamy garlic, spiral pasta, and creamy sauce, etc. So for this package, this is technically 1 serving size. So what that means is you technically can eat this whole thing in 1 serving. This is 1 serving per person, right? If we want to look at our Fruit Loops, if we're looking at the serving sizes, now this whole box, you better know this whole box is not 1 serving. So this box, this is about 6 servings per container. So per container, 6 servings per container. That's crazy. That this whole box is only 6 servings. That's a lot of cereal, and to eat it in 6 times. I typically get way more than that. But now if we're looking at this Legion, this is a protein bar, chocolate peanut butter protein. If we're looking at this is 12 servings per container. The reason they give you, I believe it's 12, yes, it comes with 12 in here. So it's 12 servings per container because there's 12 in here. So the first thing that you really need to pay attention to is the serving sizes. That way when we're looking at the other details, we're more informed going in. Okay, next up, we need to look at the calories and the macronutrients. Calories are how our body intakes energy. So food is energy. Calories, kilocalories. Essentially when we're eating, what we're doing is consuming energy. We use that energy for our daily actions, organ function, etc. So we want to pay attention to the calorie amounts. This is great because if I have a weight loss goal, I got to pay attention to my calories, because the amount of energy I bring in, if I bring in more energy, but I'm not outputting the same amount of energy or more, then I'm going to gain weight. So let's say I eat 5,000 calories of energy, but I don't burn 5,000 calories of energy. My body's gonna store it, I gain weight. So we really wanna make sure that we are paying attention to these calories. So if we look at this, if we're going back to this one, the calories, 220 calories per 2/3 cups dry mix. So this is dry. But then if we look at it per package, this is in the cooked state, 450 calories. Why they put dry mix, I don't know. No one's gonna eat this dry. So this package here is 450 calories. Sometimes companies tend to put both of these there because the average person is gonna see, oh, it's 220 calories. It's not that bad, I can consume this. Not realizing if we're looking at the 450 calories, that's, again, it's 1 serving. So if we're eating this whole thing in 1 serving, it's truly 450 calories, not the 220 calories. Looking at this, if we're going to the cereal, 150 calories. So looking at that serving size, which is about 1 1/3 cup. So you got to make sure you're pouring yourself 1 1/3 cup dry. And that's where you'll get that 150 calories. Same thing if we look at this, because this is already pre-packaged, it's in one container, we know what we're getting, 250 calories. So you really want, the first number you want to make sure you're looking at is the calories. And then going back to our serving size, okay, I have to adequately measure 1 1/3 cup to get 150 calories. If I go what's bigger than 1/3? I think it's like 1/2. 1 1/2 cup, that's not 150 calories. I'm eating more. If I go 2 cups, or let's just say I don't measure my food and I just dump the cereal out and I'm eating, you're going over your numbers and not even realizing it. So this is where the little details make sense, and the little details are important, especially if you're tracking your calories for your weight loss goals. Next, we want to pay attention to, if we're looking at the macronutrients, I'll dive deeper into these. Our fats, our proteins, our carbohydrates. You really want to pay attention to those details. So let's dive in. So when paying attention to your fats, we really want to look at the type of fats, right? We have our saturated, trans, and our unsaturated fats. We want to consume foods that are higher in the unsaturated fats. You have your monounsaturated, polyunsaturated. These are your healthier fats versus our saturated and our trans fats. Foods that are higher in saturated and trans fats, if we consume those consistently over time, that's where we get high A1C and other issues that come along with that. So we want to make sure that we're consuming foods that are, again, low in saturated and trans fats, higher in our polyunsaturated, monounsaturated, those type of fats. So if we're looking at our Fruit Loops and we want to break this down, if we see, so going to the fat section here, we see that total fat 1.5 grams. Cool, I'll take it, not bad. And then if we look, saturated fat 0.5, 3% of this isn't terrible. Trans fat 0, polyunsaturated, so we see it doesn't necessarily have any healthy fats. It has a little bit of saturated fat, but I wouldn't say this is terrible. So from a fat perspective, granted we're looking at cereal, this isn't terrible. I don't want you to look at like some of your favorite foods. Pay attention to the butters that you're using. If you look at avocado oil versus canola oil, look at the types of fats. If we go to this package here, looking at it, again, this is pretty good from a fat perspective. 1 gram of fat, not bad, right? So moving on. Now if we go here, this one. So if we look at this, total fat is 12 grams. This has 6 grams of saturated fat, 0 grams of trans fat. Total fat is 12. So we know 6 of that is coming from 6 of that total fat is coming from that saturated fat. Now the question lies, where's the rest of it coming from? If it's only 6 grams, where's the other 6 coming from? So that could possibly be unsaturated fats, our healthier ones, which I am assuming because of Legion, they're promoting healthy fats, they're promoting high quality protein. So for this one, because I know the company, I'm gonna assume the rest of that comes from unsaturated fats. But 6 grams of saturated fats, total fats 12 grams. So there's something to be mindful of when you're picking your selections of foods. All right, now let's look at our carbohydrates, right? So when we look at carbs, a couple things we want to pay attention to is the fiber amount. Foods that are higher in fiber are great for your weight loss goals because they're going to allow you to feel full. When we feel full longer, we make better decisions, our cravings are reduced, and ultimately we should be losing weight because we're not snacking as much, we're not nibbling here and there, we're eating solid meals that are full in fiber, we're staying full, and we're able to honor our calorie requirements for our weight loss goal. So we really want to pay attention to the carbohydrate. We want to look at the breakdown of it. So if we're looking, going back to this, 46 grams dry. If it's 2/3 cup dry mix, or if we're going per package, this is 93 grams. If I'm on a low carb diet, eating this whole package makes it hard for the rest of the day because 93 grams in one meal is a lot of carbs. Now, if I was to, okay, it tells me it's the serving size is 1 package. If I cut this in half and I measure out, I cook it and then I measure out half, right? Now my calories are reduced, my carbs are reduced. 93 grams of carbs in one meal is a lot. So if we cut this in half, now we're at least getting half of that. And from a fiber perspective, just note this is only 4 grams of fiber. This isn't as high as we would like it, but it's only one meal. Ideally, we want to try to get some recommendations are 20 to 25 grams of fiber per day. Others can say 25 to 30 grams of fiber per day. I find that sweet spot, try to get around 25 grams of fiber per day. So if we're eating this, let's say we ate the whole package, that gave you 4 grams of fiber. You got some room to work for the rest of your meals. But if we pair, 9 times out of 10, you're not just eating this. You're gonna have protein and vegetables and all of that stuff as well. So cut this in half, get fiber from your other meals. Looking at our Fruit Loops, so we have dietary fiber, 2 grams, carbs, 34 grams if we go that 1 1/3 cup, right? 34 grams, 2 grams of fiber. So this isn't a high fiber meal. There's other options, I think like Special K, etc. Those have a little higher fiber, but this isn't a high fiber meal. So we want to really look at the fiber contents in the foods. Stepping away from fiber, under the carbohydrates, you want to pay attention to the sugars. Sugar has got us in a chokehold. So we really want to pay attention to the sugars that we are eating as well. If we're looking at this, going back to the carbohydrate, so total sugars is 12. It's kind of high for 1 1/3 cup. That's pretty high. 12 grams of sugar is a lot. Where the goal, the threshold I try to get for all of my clients, 30 grams of sugar a day is the threshold that we are trying to hit. So if we look at this gives us 12 grams, right? And what is the sugar coming from? Is it natural? Is it included, added? These are added sugars. So you really want to be mindful. And this is breakfast. For breakfast, 12 grams of added sugars, that's a lot. So you really want to be mindful of the added sugars. Natural sugars are going to be better, but again, just be mindful. Looking at this one, 0 added sugars, which is great. Total sugar, 3 grams. So my first question is, where is that coming from, right? So if we look at the ingredient list, which we'll touch on things that we want to look at, the ingredient list may hint to where some of the sugars are coming from. At least we know they didn't add any sugar to this. Looking at this one, just off the bat, I know there's sugars in here because of the chocolate. So if we're looking, total sugars is 4. Added sugars, 3 grams. Okay, part of the reason they're probably doing that is to make it taste good. Typically they put sugars in all of our foods for our taste, to make it taste better so that we buy it in a lot. But 3 grams of added sugars, total sugars 4. Again, my question goes to where is the regular other sugars coming from? Some of that, 1 gram may be natural sugars coming from the chocolate. So when it comes to carbs, you want to pay attention to how much fiber, the types of sugars, is it included and is it added sugars, or are they natural sugars? And again, that number we're trying to hit, maximum 30 grams of sugar per day. That is our threshold. If you can get less than that, by all means, please get less than that. Ladies, if you are struggling to reach your weight loss goals, struggling to get rid of stubborn body fat, and absolutely confused on the best workouts to do and the best foods to eat to reach your weight loss goals, then Wellness 365 is just the solution for you. My newest app, Wellness 365, is great for those ladies who need quick and effective workouts that target their stubborn areas, but is easy on the knees. It's great for those ladies who need easy to make but delicious weight loss recipes without breaking the budget. And also great for those ladies who struggle with consistency and need ongoing support and motivation from myself and like-minded individuals so that they can reach their weight loss goals consistently month after month. If you know you need these things, Wellness 365 is the app for you. I guarantee that you will lose at least 5 to 10 pounds every single month. Be sure to check out the description for the details on my newest app, and please be one of the first 500 women to get access to early bonuses, cash prizes, and discounts. Okay? I'll see you in the app. Peace. Moving on, protein. Now for our protein intake. If you got a weight loss goal, you got to get more protein in your diet. it is a must. One, getting more protein in your diet helps you build lean muscle mass. It helps with recovery. It helps prevent frailty. It supports your body in ways that you could not imagine. So you got to get more protein in your diet. Simple thing for this, let's look at something protein bar, right? For those who don't know, I am a sponsored athlete by Legion Supplements. And while I look at this, I'm giving you my honest review. I love Legion Supplements. They have some great things, but there are some features that I may not love as well. And I'm gonna be honest about that. But I do like their protein bars. I do like their protein shakes. We're gonna break down this protein bar now because we're talking about protein. For those, if you click the info card popping up and head over to Legion, use my code Dr. Salako, DRSALAKO. You get 20% off of your first purchase, or if you purchase something from them already, you get some points towards your next purchase. So again, click the info card popping up and head over to Legion Supplements and grab yourself one. All right, so looking at this protein bar, we're talking protein. Typically when you're talking protein bars, you want something that is higher in protein and low in carb. Again, I told you, I'm gonna be honest. If we look at this, ideally, this is 24 grams of carbs, however, 20 grams of protein. So if we're looking for a pure protein bar, while I like the taste, because of my specific weight loss goals, I don't mind the carbs. But if I'm someone who is lower, who has a lower carb diet, realistically, this may not be my best option. I may opt in for their other protein sources, like their protein shakes that they have, right? They have French vanilla, different flavors. But for most of your protein bars, you want one that is higher in protein and lower in carb. You want your protein amount to be significantly higher than your carb amount for your protein bars. So that's one thing that you always want to pay attention to if we're talking specifically protein. You're looking at that. And then once we go to the ingredient list, we want to look at the types of proteins. So for this one, this is protein blend, whey protein, milk protein isolate, whey protein isolate, peanut butter. So paying attention to where is the protein sources coming from. That's the first thing when it comes to protein. Now, moving on, going to a different one. For this one, this one has protein as well. 8 grams of protein, sorry. Or 16 if we eat the whole package, but you're not gonna eat the whole package. 8 grams, 16 grams, not terrible, but again, look at our carb to protein ratio. If I'm on a high protein diet and I'm eating these things, I definitely have to add in other protein sources like chicken, lean meat, tofu, edamame to get more protein in my diet. Because these, if we really boil it down, these are higher carb things right here that we're looking at. Yes, it has some protein, but it's not at a high clip. So you really want to pay attention to your protein amounts, especially if you have a weight loss goal. I'm not even going to look at that. I know it has a little bit, but it's higher in carb as well. So just make sure that you are getting adequate protein in your diet and looking at the labels to make sure that the foods that you're picking are higher in protein. Okay, now we want to pay attention to, I'm going to group this vitamins and minerals and then our ingredient list. So we'll kind of group this together. Looking at our vitamins and our minerals. So we want to make sure the foods that we're eating, especially if we have some vitamin deficiencies, typically for our black people, we are typically deficient in vitamin D because we don't want to go outside. You need to start going outside, okay? Get some sun, it's great for you. I digress. But for the people who are deficient in other vitamins, when you're picking your food, pay attention to that. Your foods contain vitamins. Look at what they're containing. So if we go to this one, this is high in good amount of potassium, great. Vitamin D, 2 mcg, not that high. Calcium, a little good amount if you're once you add in milk, because if you see on the other side it talks about if you're adding in milk. So great if you add in milk, but if you're eating it by itself, then there's no calcium. And depending on the type of milk, some milks are higher in calcium, some aren't. Almond milk versus animal milk, etc. But that's for you to figure out. So looking at these details, 20%, 25%. These cereals, although it has a bunch of sugar, good amount of carbs, gives you a good breakdown of vitamins and minerals. Isn't terrible. If we go here, this one as well, giving you a great breakdown of vitamins and minerals. Not that much vitamin D at all, but good amount of calcium, good amount of potassium, niacin, decent amount of niacin. So it's giving you some vitamins. But I always say, if you don't feel like you're getting enough vitamins, before you go supplementing, have a conversation with your doctor. Ask them, get some blood work so you can see what you're deficient in. That way, when you make your food selections, you can pick ones that are higher in the vitamins that you need. Now, moving on to our ingredient list, okay? Ideally, if we want to eat foods that have the least ingredients possible, because that means it's more of a whole source, right? If I was to go to the store and buy a pack of chicken, it's literally just gonna say chicken and maybe water. If I go buy potatoes, it's literally just gonna say potatoes and probably nothing else. So we want foods that have a small ingredient list because they're typically more whole. If we look at going to this, we got pasta, cornstarch, skim milk powder, garlic powder, and then the rest of this stuff starts to be, these are things for flavor, taste, shelf life, etc. So maltodextrin, we have salt, potassium, flavor, taste, etc. Silicone dioxide prevents it caking so that the when they put the packages and the seasonings in there, it doesn't cake and get flaky. So some of this stuff is for, again, packaging. So doesn't necessarily mean it's bad for you. You just have to know the nature of what you're getting. If you were to cook something like this on your own, you would eliminate more than half of this because you're making it from fresh by yourself. So when you're looking at your ingredient list, just be mindful of the long list of things and how you want to go about it. By understanding your nutrition labels, you can put yourself in a position to lose 5 to 10 pounds consistently month after month. Paying attention to the calories, the serving sizes, the protein, the fiber, it all makes a difference in the long term. Now there's a video popping up. It's a playlist, the best weight loss tips and tricks that you need to implement to lose weight consistently month after month. This is a great playlist that you got to check out. If you found this video beneficial, then you're going to love this playlist. Be sure to tap in. I'll see you over there. Peace.